and you want to be the hero, right? So you go in and you do that bare minimum, you get it going again, you shake hands and you leave with that few $100s in your hand. Where in reality, that's not what they wanted and it's not what they needed. And in the end, they're just going to be upset with you. So your goal is to take care of the customer and give them all of their options. Here's what we can do. I can get this thing going, but it is a 15-year-old system. It is out of warranty. I switch out the capacitor. The capacitor's new. Everything else is still 15 years old. Okay, that means this thing can go anytime. Any one of those parts, any one of those 15-year-old parts can go at any time. That means you're out for labor and you're out for the part. Or we could be proactive and we can switch some of these parts out now. Get it back to manufacturer specifications. So it'll be a few $1,000s as opposed to a few hundred. The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation. Geez, love of Peter. Okay, so his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he is always doing both.
Interesting.
So for me, that speaks to me. Working and play are one and the same. And it doesn't matter if I'm with my friends on a boat. It's interesting. I had a very interesting conversation with a friend since college. This has been, geez, Peter, it's been, let's see, I got off my mission in 97. I was married in 99. And so around 2000 is when we met. So 25 years. 25-year relationship. And he was talking about his life successes versus my life successes. And what was interesting is we came to realize is we both envied each other a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, we both envied each other. He envied certain aspects of me and my character and how driven I am and so on and so forth. But I was envious of some of the familial Look, he has a group of kids that are inseparable. Okay. I've got a kid that lives in Washington that doesn't talk to the other kid who lives around here in Southern Utah. There's discord in the relationships that I have with my family. And I think a lot of that stems from my need to control outcomes. I run my own business. I've got two other businesses that I have a hand in, and I absolutely am in control of my entire world. And so recognizing that my strengths are also my weaknesses have kind of come into play this summer as I've had a chance to hang out with my friends. But even then, we're talking to each other, sharing experience, sharing his wins and my losses and his losses, and recognizing where we can do better. And to me, that's work. That's work. It's also play. Constantly challenging my reasoning. Is kind of what I've been up to these days more than anything else. Summer's great, right? June was all about, I took this technician training, Lennox Build-A-Tech. It was 3 weeks. It was pretty crazy. It was very intense.
Was it a good course?
It was incredible. And the whole reason why I was doing it is because we launched a coaching program for technicians and comfort advisors. And we teach soft skills for thousands of people who answer phones and such. And so I felt like if we're going to be teaching technicians, we need to know their world. We need to understand the world from a technical standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
And so I went in and I learned how to do everything under the sun when it comes to heating and cooling, and gained a much better understanding of that side of the industry. And so I took my son, who just graduated from high school, my brother, and we also sponsored a young man that is aspiring to be a technician from Oklahoma. We got this Airbnb and we all went, and it was 8 hours a day, very intense, for 3 weeks, and homework all night long. We had tests every day. It felt very much like college. It was brutal, but we did a very good job of filling our day with a lot of great things. Studying in the morning, doing the work in class 8 hours, and then going straight to the gym, Lifetime Fitness. And we worked out for about an hour and a half every day. So rinse and repeat every day for 3 weeks.
Yep.
It was pretty phenomenal. It was pretty cool. So it's been an eventful summer. This is the first week where I've been able to kind of be introspective with my friends and consider where things are at. So, hey, look, you asked. That's what I'm up to these days. That's what I'm learning.
Absolutely. So I was curious. So you said you started or you ended your mission in 97. Is that correct? 97 or 99? What was
97.
and now you're running Power Selling Pros. So when did you guys start Power Selling Pros, and what was your journey to get there, and what motivated you to start it?
So I started Power Selling Pros by accident in 2009. What motivated me to do it? There was a lot of factors at play.
Okay.
First of all, my youngest son, Hagen, was just diagnosed with autism. We caught it at 18 months. And we were at this place called Autism Journeys, and they said, "Hey, congratulations, you caught it early. He has a chance of normal life, and all he needs is ABA therapy and speech therapy and you name it, therapy."
Yep.
And what they didn't know is that my business had just gone under. I had crawled back to Utah after a failed business. I was completely broke. There wasn't a job that would pay, all for the low price, this therapy of $3,500 a month. So I thought, okay, cool. I'm going to go rob a bank to give my son a chance at a normal life. You know, the way they phrased it, they had no idea what they were saying, right? No idea. And
the low price.
Yeah, exactly.
Low price.
And so that was a motivator.
For sure.
And I said to myself, there's no job that's going to pay me enough to put food on the table and pay for his therapy. And I'm not going to sacrifice one or the other. I'm going to make it all work. And so I had this idea to train CSRs, dispatchers, lead coordinators, all those years ago. Had 2 clients in the heating and cooling industry, Nearings Plumbing and Heating in Utah and Precision Plumbing and Heating in Boulder. I was training both groups of CSRs, Troy Nearings and Tom Robichaud, both the owners in Boulder and in Salt Lake. They got together and they said, "Hey, let's help Brigham out. Let's help him grow his business." And so they referred me to Mike Gugliero in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And he sold gold medal for, I think it was $30 million. And he also started CEO Warrior, and then he sold that, and he's looking to get back inside the industry. He's a beast, right? Now his son's writing books, and his son's a beast. And anyway, he calls me up and he says, "Hey, if you do a good job with my CSRs, I will refer you to everyone." And sure enough, luckily I did a good job, and he referred me to everybody. And we went from 2 clients to probably 27 clients in 6 months because of Mike. Hired all my friends, and Peter, I don't have a lot of friends. They all work with me. And we went from training about 6 people at Nearings, right? Troy Nearings company in Utah, to now we have over 1,400 trainees in our program.
Wow.
And what we do is we train them one-on-one twice a month using their own phone calls. There's a lot of training companies out there that will say, "Hey, here's what you do. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Here's what you do." And you write this long list of all the things that you need to do as a business owner, right?
Right.
The fact of the matter is you don't have time to do all those things. And so what we do is we say, "Hey, not only here's what to do, but we're going to do it for you. We're going to go in, we're going to hold your team accountable. We're going to make sure they're performing at a high level." Now, what's interesting about all this is that over the last 3 years, I've been doing ride-alongs with technicians and comfort advisors. And with comfort advisors, it's all about soft skills. If the customer likes you and you do spend the time with them, the 90 minutes with them, they're not going to want you to leave empty-handed either. So all you have to do is have some really good closing skills and show that you want the business. When you email somebody a proposal, that does not show that you want the business, right? If you get there and you realize not all the decision makers are here, okay, well then you now need to decide whether or not you're willing to put in the work to come back at a time when they're both going to be there, even if that means you have to go through the 90 minutes all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's that sort of thing from a people skill standpoint that I've been offering to comfort advisors and
And
technicians
where did you pick those up? Because you were doing something else first, that business didn't work out, and then you started this business. It sounds like you already had some of those skills developed. So where did you learn all that stuff?
Mission. So I was in Brazil for 2 years. Before that, I barely graduated from high school. I probably shouldn't have graduated from high school. I know, because when I got home from my mission and asked for the transcripts so I can get into college, they were looking at a couple of my scores and they said, "You failed Spanish. You shouldn't have graduated." And I was like, "Well, you gave me my diploma already, so I'm out of here. See you later." And as I drove away, I was like, "Wow, I didn't realize that I failed Spanish. Something went off there. Something was wrong." But I ended up going to community college and got really good grades, and then got into BYU, and then after that, I was able to finish college up at night school, and then, but what's interesting is it was the people skills that I was lacking. So on my mission, first of all, I had to learn Portuguese, you either eat or die on a mission. So in order to eat, you need to learn the language.
Right.
And it wasn't just that though. It was the work that I was doing. When you're a kid coming out of high school, you're very self-centered, extremely self-centered. It is all about me. And it's even more so now with all the, with the advent of social media and phones and so on and so forth. There's a lot of me that goes on in this world. But back then, man, I struggled. But as soon as I started teaching something that I was passionate about, it motivated me to learn a language. It motivated me to develop my study skills, my ability to learn, my ability to grow. And you know what? I'll just tell you, there was about 3 months into my mission, I wanted to go home. There's a lot of reasons for that. It was hard, bro. I mean, I was in Brazil.
Was it just you? Were you with a group of people? How did that work?
Companion. I had a companion.
Okay.
We usually go 2 by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was washing my clothes in a bucket. We didn't have a stove. The first day I got into the mission field, my companion saw a coffee can, a Folgers coffee can in the backyard, an empty Folgers coffee can. And he said, "Go grab it." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Just go get it." And I went and I grabbed it, and he punctured holes around the bottom of it, and he put rubbing alcohol on the bottom of it and lit it on fire. And then he pulled out his frying pan, and that's how we cooked our breakfast and dinner for 5.5 months. Wow. So I wanted to go home. I wanted to go home.
No kidding.
And about 3 months in, I decided on that day that this was going to be my last day in the mission. But I believed in what I was doing, right? It wasn't a matter of faith per se. It was a matter of just not wanting to be there anymore, not wanting to put myself through this. So I thought to myself, you know what? I do believe in what I'm doing and the message that I'm bringing. And so this is my last day. I'm going to give it my all. And it's funny because there was a leader in the area, mission leader that was in the area. And he noticed that I was having issues. And he said, "You know what? Why don't you come with me in my area?" And so we did like this little companionship switch for the day. And I ended up going with him. And when somebody's trying to help you and you don't want to be helped. So he was trying to help me, and in the back of my head is going, there's nothing you can do. I'm done. Right. And he says, "Well, I've got some families for us to visit. Let's go visit this family." And so we go and we visit this family, and there's this gal. She's probably 10 years old at the time. And as soon as I walked in the door, she locked eyes with me. Like, it was almost eerie. I was like, what's going on? And the language is hard at the time. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to do my very best to articulate every word in Portuguese and just do my best. This is my last day. So going to do my very best and just give my all. And so I began to share with her certain aspects of what I was teaching and just, some really heartfelt stuff, things I believe in. And afterwards, she seemed to be the only one. Her whole family was there, a couple of brothers and mom and a dad. And I just looked at her because she was looking at me already. And I said, after I shared this message with her, I said, how do you feel? We were talking about Christ and that sort of thing. And she couldn't say anything. And all of a sudden, she just had these tears coming down her face. And for the first time, somebody not only understood what I was saying, right, but she felt it. She felt it. And I looked at the rest of the family and they were all feeling it. And I thought to myself after that experience, I was like, it's not about me. It's not about me. I'm not here for me. And I just needed to forget myself and go to work, right? Go to work and make a difference. And from that point on, I didn't care how hard it was for me. It's interesting how washing my clothes in a bucket, I didn't care. Cooking my food on a frying pan, on a coffee can, I didn't care. I had an outhouse for a bathroom. I mean, it wasn't necessarily an outhouse. I mean, you'd have to go outside and then into another room to go to the bathroom. And they had a shower head just right next to the toilet that came out of the ceiling. And so you wouldn't think that showering and doing your business is something you could do together. You know what I mean? That all that sort of stuff. I didn't care. I didn't care. We walked probably 10 miles a day, 100% humidity, 100 degrees outside. I didn't care. When it rained, dude, there's a difference between like a drizzle in the United States, or at least in Utah, and torrential rainfall. You are instantly soaked. Okay, in Brazil, instantly. All of that did not matter as soon as that little girl helped me realize that I'm not there for me. I'm not there for me. And so from that moment on, and funny thing, towards the end of my mission, I sat down with the mission president and said, hey, I want to extend my mission because you have the ability to request that. And he said, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Did I do a bad job? You know what I mean? And he said, no, you see, I only reserve that, the ability to extend a mission for those who really slacked off in the beginning and had trouble finding their way. You've been working your tail off since the day you got here. You need to go home, go to college, find a cute girl, that sort of thing. Go on with your life. And sure enough, I came home and I went from, 2 years prior, struggling in school, no self-confidence, to a ton of self-confidence. Dude, I just learned Portuguese. You know what I mean? I just was able to lead in an organization and make a difference. Right? I came home with a ton of confidence, and I started acing all my classes in college. Acing all of them. It was easy. It was easy. I learned how to learn. I learned how to study. I learned how to focus. Yeah, surprisingly, Peter, I have ADHD. I mean, you could tell by all the different places all the different things we're talking about in the last 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But I've learned to control it with all of that. And so, to kind of bring it all back together. Yeah.
So you feel like what really helped make the biggest difference and give you the most confidence was just that realization that like what you can do for other people does have an impact on those other people, and that it's not about you. And that kind of helped you push past those obstacles and things like that. Is that am I understanding correctly?
Yeah. This is going to sound weird. On my mission, I learned that I am not my own, that the gifts that I have are borrowed. And they're borrowed as long as I'm alive. And it's my objective in life to apply that skill set towards helping as many people as I possibly can. And as long as I have that mindset, I'll have purpose, I'll have happiness, I'll have peace in my life. And in the end, I'll feel really good about the work that I've done.
Mm.
And so I stayed focused with that mindset. And I think that's where it all came from with technicians and comfort advisors.
Okay.
The people
So,
side of it anyway.
so help me understand. So we were talking about, some of those soft skills and training, CSRs, and now the technicians you guys are training. So how did some of those experiences help shape that and give you the ability to do that?
Well, on a mission, you go door to door, right? It's all about connecting with people door to door.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I throw on a technician uniform or sit with a comfort advisor, what were we doing? We're going door to door. Well, that just so happens to be my thing. That's what I excel at. That's what I do really, really well. And so as soon as we knocked on that door, a technician or a comfort advisor is inclined to go to the thermostat, go to the thing, fix the thing, replace the thing.
Yep.
And so their focus is off. You see, that's your opportunity to interact with people. Sometimes we say fix people, and I hate that phraseology because you're not fixing people. You're connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're connecting with them. You're finding out what's important to them. And then you're going to simply help them discover that thing that's most important to them and do that thing that's most important. That's it.
And
Now,
that's the mindset that just kind of allowed you to. So do you feel like in the trades, when people are trained on the phones or when people are trained on, how to diagnose and fix an issue for a customer, it is kind of more based on the thing, like how to get the thing done. And so when you started coaching those businesses, you were going into it with the mindset of the people, and then the thing kind of secondary to that. It sounds like
you got it. Technicians and comfort advisors go into this line of business for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's not about the thing. It's about the people who own the thing.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I feel like that's just kind of the right way to do things. But then as a byproduct of that, it also does result in growth. It results in, higher ticket sizes. It results in more revenue. I'm curious what some of the like the impact you guys have been able to make for businesses, as a result of them being more focused on the people.
So before Build a Tech training, I would go in. So I spend the morning in a group session teaching them some very simple steps. Create an environment inside the customer's home that includes safety, comfort, and fun. Now, in the back of your head, you're going, well, that's pretty basic. No, it's more than that. How do you get kissed on a date? Well, they've got to feel safe. They've got to feel comfortable, and they've got to have a little bit of fun. Okay, so to the degree that I would like you to make a connection is probably not what you're doing. What you're doing is probably surface level. Hey, how's it going? I'm your heating and cooling guy. Where's the thermostat? I want to go much deeper than that. I want to go in, and let's say that Finding Dory is playing for their kids. You're going to look at that and go, I love Finding Dory. And funny thing, they're going to say, I know, man, I've seen this thing 50,000 times. Trust me, if their kids are watching it, it's probably the 50th time. All right. So it's that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden we start talking about, I love the message behind Finding Dory. And you're there for 10 minutes right inside the front door. Right. Now, most of the time, a technician or comfort advisor is like itching, like, oh my gosh, we're not at the thermostat yet. This is a total waste of time. No, this is the time. This is the time. And so your goal of creating that environment, safety, comfort, and fun, is to get to the point where the customer says, hey, I want to show you something. Follow me. Next thing you know, you get the tour. Okay, all that stuff that you want to do, doing a heat load calculation, looking at the thermostat, going to the condenser outside, run over to the furnace, looking at the coil, all that stuff, that'll come naturally. They'll take you there, but let them take you there. All right. So you earn the tour. And funny thing, you start talking about all the things that are important to them, all the things they've been putting up with. And if you do plumbing, crazy thing, as you're going through that tour, you notice that there's some plumbing issues as well that you could probably, send out the plumber for, or electrical or solar or whatever else it is that you do, or roofing, whatever it is. But you earn that tour and you're their guy. You're not just a guy, you are their guy. And that's what you want. That's what you're working towards. That's the investment that's required. And then you get to the point where you sit down with them and you go, okay, here's the thing. I know you want to get this thing going. I know you do. And we could, right? And this is the thing that the Build-A-Tech taught me. We have a tendency to, as technicians, right? We have a tendency to do the bare minimum to get a system going. And then we leave. You know, we throw a start capacitor on there, which creates thousands of volts of energy to get the thing going, like a defibrillator. Okay, yes, defibrillators save lives, but would you do that every time you want somebody to wake up? You know, can you imagine every day? No, nobody wants that. And it's probably not going to be good for you long term. And guess what? It's also not good for the system long term. So what happens? The technician does the bare minimum to get the system working, whether they recharge the unit, which it shouldn't need to be recharged, right? It shouldn't need Freon. It shouldn't be leaking Freon, right? We recharge the unit and we leave. We put a start capacitor on, we leave. We switched out the capacitor and we leave. Never mind that the compressor could be busted. Never mind that the metering device is probably out of whack. Never mind, right? And so then they call back the next day and they say, hey, your guy was just out and now it's not working again. So we go back out and now we got to come back out for free, give major discounts on the real problem at hand, and we cause ourselves issues. And so, you know, we assume.
I feel like people so they have their sales process, and I feel like in addition to taking those shortcuts with the system, I feel like they also want to take those shortcuts with that connection with that person as well. What's the quickest, you know, like you were talking surface level stuff. You know, how do I? Okay, great. The rapport is built. You know, time to move on to the system. And I feel like for genuine connection, it requires a little bit of effort, maybe a little bit of vulnerability sometimes. But I'm curious, so when you're in this technician training, you mentioned that you're training more on the soft skills, right?
Yeah.
So with that training, is it more of a process that you're giving them, or is it more of fundamentals on, just creating that connection?
Yes. It's a process to create connection.
Okay. So it's both things together.
So safety, comfort, and fun is part of the process. Earning the tour. Once you've earned the tour, you're going to be very curious about what's going on inside the home. You're going to ask a lot of questions. You're going to discover things that perhaps you weren't even called out for. And then you're going to provide options based on what you've discovered. All of their options. Okay, not just the quick fix, but all of their options. And you're not afraid to do this anymore. You see, usually when you only have a surface level connection, you believe in your mind's eye that the customer isn't going to want to pay any more than a few $100. Mm-hmm. That's where the capacitor switch out comes in. That's where the recharging comes in. They do that because they think that's what the customer will bear. That's the only thing they'll bear doing. And you want to be the hero, right? So you go in and you do that bare minimum, you get it going again, you shake hands and you leave with that few $100 in your hand. Where in reality, that's not what they wanted and it's not what they needed. And in the end, they're just going to be upset with you. So your goal is to take care of the customer and give them all of their options. Here's what we can do. I can get this thing going, but it is a 15-year-old system. It is out of warranty. I switch out the capacitor. The capacitor's new. Everything else is still 15 years old. Okay, that means this thing can go anytime. Any one of those parts, any one of those 15-year-old parts can go at any time. That means you're out for labor and you're out for the part. Or we could be proactive and we can switch some of these parts out now. Get it back to manufacturer specifications. So it'll be a few $1,000s as opposed to a few hundred. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's option number 2. Or option number 3, I can bring in a comfort advisor out there. I like to fix things. I can bring a comfort advisor out, take a look at the situation, and give you options on a new system. And then we can get you a new system that's under warranty, so that if anything were to go awry, you're covered. You're covered. What would you like to do?
I feel like with a lot of HVAC business owners, a lot of technicians, there's kind of like this guilt, right? Like if I'm taking this action that is causing the customer to spend more money, shame on me, right? That means I'm screwing the customer over. That means I'm, upselling is kind of a dirty word to some people, right? So I'm just curious, like, how would you like, is that a good mindset to have in some cases? Are there like, would you challenge that mindset? I'm just curious because I'm sure you run into that. So I'm just curious what you think about that.
Technicians and comfort advisors, well, especially technicians, they want to do a good job. Mm-hmm. The minute you say the word sales, and I love it when business owners try to sell them on wanting to sell. Bro, let it go. Stop saying the word. Okay? Stop saying the word. Don't use it. Instead, focus on what a good job looks like. Okay? A good job is giving the homeowner all of their options. In order for them to feel like they're shopping, because this is our goal, we want people to feel like they're shopping. And in order for them to shop, they need to have options. Okay, that means you don't just go in and get it running again and leave. That's not a good job. Okay, what is a good job? A good job is you going in and telling them, look, I can do A, I can do B, I can do C, I can do D, E, right? Which would you prefer? What makes the most sense to you? Now you provide these options after they feel like, you know what? I feel understood. This guy understands me. I feel cared about. You know what? I feel like I've called the right place. From an emotional standpoint, they need all these things first. And that takes time. That requires the 10 to 15 minutes at the front door, or just inside the front door. This requires them taking time with you and walking around with you. I realize that sometimes that doesn't work, right? They have a job at home or they're doing some other things and they want to be able to do other things while you do your thing. But let them decide that. Don't you decide that for them, right? Don't say, hey, you go about your day, I'll come back with all my findings. Don't you dare do that. Keep them with you. Keep them with you the entire time. Talk about it. Educate. Teach. You're there anyway.
It's interesting that a part of that, so you mentioned there were three parts to it, and one part of it was fun. Comfort, safety, and fun. And
you got it.
The fun one I haven't heard too much. How do you make it fun for the customer? That's really interesting.
Well, the funny thing about serving a mission in Brazil, you've learned the language when you can crack jokes in the language. Okay, that's a milestone that you want to achieve, right? You need to get to the point where you can crack a joke and they understand the joke. The same thing's true when you're talking to a customer. You need to get to the point where you can get comfortable cracking a joke. Now, I found there's two ways to do this. Take an acting class or a drama class in college. Now, I know that some technicians, when they hear that, they're going to go, freak, no. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'm talking about $100,000 a year job. How about 160? How about a $200,000 job? It is up to you in this industry. It is up to you. Now, again, you know what? Let's just say I'm talking directly to a technician. I know it's not about the money for you, bro. I know. Okay? I know you want to do a good job. All I'm saying is you can have it all. You can do a good job. You can take great care of the customer, and you can do a bang up job of providing for your family in the process as a byproduct. And this is how. Okay? If you're not willing to do that, that's fine. That's fine. I want you to open up Pandora or Spotify and type in any clean comedian, right? Take your take your pick of any one of them. Okay, there's a ton of them. Clean, family-oriented comedians. Watch how they pause. Watch how they take regular scenarios and make it funny. Okay, things that happen inside the home, things that happen with kids, things that happen when you're making dinner, when you're making breakfast. Okay, everyday type of situations. If you do that and you listen to it every day, I promise you, you're going to become funny. You're going to be able to crack a joke. You're going to be able to pause when you're supposed to pause when you're telling a joke. Okay? You'll learn all those things and you'll be able to connect with your customer, get them feeling very comfortable. Why do you want that? Well, because then they'll share with you the things that aren't so great inside the home, the things that they've just been putting up with. And you can say to them in a very fun and loving, comfortable way that they don't have to put up with that anymore. And then they'll laugh and they'll giggle and they'll say to themselves, I like this guy. I like this guy. I want to work with this guy. And you know what? He's my guy. He's my plumber. He's my heating and cooling guy.
So that's for technicians. With CSRs, it's a little bit of a different dynamic over the phone. So I'm curious what you guys are doing for training with CSRs and how you, how is that different, or is it different?
It is different. It is different. So with Comfort Advisors technicians, we're going to create an environment of safety, comfort, fun, earn the tour, get very curious about what's going on inside the customer's home, ask a lot of questions, provide options, and get to yes or no. I didn't say anything about selling. I said, get curious, provide options, get to yes or no. On every job, that's what a good job looks like. With the CSR, recognize that you've got 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. During the first 30 seconds, how you handle it will ultimately determine the outcome of that call. Okay. So your goal is not just to book the call, but to wow the customer in such a way that when they hang up, you are 911. There's no 912. Help is on the way. You are the only one going out to the customer's home. Your comfort advisor, your technician is the only one going out. That's a tall order. Okay, but that's what you have to do. The impression has to be such that that customer's done shopping. Look, they only get bids because they feel like they have to get bids. If they were able to take ownership of that plumber, that's my plumber, that's my heating and cooling guy, I promise you, they'd much prefer that than having to do 3 or 4 bids. So you've got to convince them in that, that 3-minute window, that you're the guy or the gal or whatever, or the company. And so how do you do that? Well, the customer has 3 human emotional needs. They need to feel understood. They need to feel cared about, and they need to feel reassured that they've called the right place. All right. So we teach ways to do that in 30 seconds. Customer gets on the phone, and even if they want a ballpark price, hey, I want a ballpark price. Great. Tell me more about your situation. What's going on? So I'm listening. Well, I've got this air conditioner. It's blowing hot air. My gosh, that's terrible. How long has it been doing that? Me carrying. Last couple of days now. So wait a minute. You've been in this heat for the last 2 days? Yeah, man. I got to get this thing fixed. I can't put my kids through this anymore. No, you cannot. Okay. You've definitely called the right place. And that's the third thing. They need to know they've called the right place. They don't know. Make sure that you know. You've called the right place. We can totally help you with that. When would you like us out? Oh, this afternoon would be good. What just happened there? In the beginning, they were like, hey, I need to know what you charge to come out. We haven't even talked about that.
Right.
All we did was listen, care, reassure, and now they're ready to book.
Yep.
So we took care of their emotional needs first. Hey, I just want to talk to a technician. Great. We've got a ton of those. Let me make sure I'm sitting out the right one. What's going on with your situation? Well, I've got this air conditioner that's blowing hot air. My gosh, that's terrible. How long has it been doing that? Oh, last couple of days. So wait a minute. You've been dealing with this for the last 2 days? Yeah, man. I got to get this thing fixed. I can't go another day like this. No, you cannot. And I won't allow you to do it. You've called the right place. We can help you. When would you like us out?
That makes sense. So I feel like if somebody's, watching this and they're like, I feel like it's going to be like, oh, well, I could see how that could work, or like, yeah, it seems like a good idea. But I feel like as a concept, it doesn't feel very tangible. So I'm curious if you could share some examples, some case studies of how much it has increased booking rates for some companies, or increased, average tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Tommy Mello?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So he has over 60 CSRs. We train all of them. He's booking 92% of his phone calls. You know what I'll do, Peter, is I'll send you a video at the end of this. It's a minute long where he talks about why he uses Power Selling Pros. We also have our own call center. We have over 60 agents as well. We book 93% of our calls.
Wow.
And we answer phones at nights and on weekends. It's called Booked by PSP, if anybody's interested. But we do we answer phones at nights and on weekends. We even sell service agreements right over the phone. Look, we're all about getting results, right? And the way that you get results is providing accountability and measuring performance. So the cool thing about technicians and comfort advisors today is that we have a ton of really cool technology that's coming out. Sales Pro, Rilla, Field Spark, where technicians and comfort advisors, with a push of a button, their entire conversation with the homeowner is recorded, immediately sent over. We have great AI that monitors that entire 90-minute phone call. And we're able to pick out certain parts of it to use for training purposes. Well, the funny thing is we've been doing this for years, 16 years, as a matter of fact, with CSRs, dispatchers, and coordinators, holding them accountable to their own performance. Now, the funny thing is you would probably think that CSR managers can do it themselves. But when they have 4 or 5 CSRs, good luck listening to all those calls by yourself and providing accountability over time. You need help. You need an army to hold your team accountable. And so with this technology that's come out, you have service managers that manage 50 technicians trying to monitor, 90-minute home visits. Good luck. Okay. They don't have time for that. They don't. They need to oversee the department. They need to make sure they're hiring the right people. The hiring, the training, the firing process, all of that is going to suck up all their time. So to have the extra help for us to provide accountability over time for them, the results they see is absolutely higher call conversions, more service agreements sold, and you have technicians and CSRs that are selling more, not because they're focused on selling, but because they're being held accountable to take great care of customers. Our goal is for CSRs to sell at least 2 service agreements a day. Imagine that for a moment. Okay, let's say they get paid $10 per service agreement a day, and they're selling 2 a day. So that's 10. That's 10 a week, right? So 10 times 10 is $100. That's $100 a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. They don't work 52 weeks. Let's just say 50. That's $5,000 a year that they're making.
Yep.
Look, when a CSR has the ability to make an extra $5,000 a year, they'll probably stay a little bit longer in that position. And that's the most transient position there is in our industry. They'll stay longer because they have control over their own income. They're staying longer because they're getting the attention, the training that they need and that they deserve. And the same thing's true with the technicians and the comfort advisors. With comfort advisors, you'll probably see a 10% jump in sales with greater soft skills. The thing is comfort advisors, most of them are pretty good already with soft skills. So we're just fine tuning, we're tweaking things. We can increase their call conversions by 10%. I mean, their home visit conversions. But with technicians, that's where we see the massive gains. We see a few $1,000 tickets as opposed to $100 tickets. So imagine 4 visits a day, and you're bringing in a couple thousand per job, or setting it up for the comfort advisor to close it down and get them into a new system. Now, again, with technicians, it's not about sales. It's about providing a shopping experience for the homeowner, as opposed to, oh, hey, they fixed it. You've got a plethora of capacitors in your van, and that's it. You've got Freon in your van, and that's it, because that's all you're doing every day. And you think that's a good job. It's not. It's not good for the homeowner. It's not good for you. It's not good for the company. It's not. When a Freon is leaking, when a system is leaking Freon, it's broken. It's broken and something needs to be fixed. And that's going to require a new part or a few new parts.
Right. I'm curious, like, so with the selling maintenance agreements over the phone, that's not something that a lot of companies do. I'm just curious, like, where you discovered, was that something you just tried one day and it worked, or did you find that someone else was doing that had success with it? I'm just curious where you
Several
discovered.
years ago, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was teaching 9 CSRs to sell service agreements over the phone. Why? Well, because that's when the customer is feeling emotional angst.
Mm,
Technician goes out, fixes the problem. They're feeling artificially comfortable inside their home now. And you want to sell preventative maintenance? Well, it's working, right? My emotions are out of it.
that makes sense.
But when I call in and I'm saying, hey, I'm sweltering and I'm home from work trying to get a technician out to the house. Okay. I have only so many paid sick days here.
Hmm.
Help me. Emotionally, I'm not in a good spot. Hey, Mr. Jones, I'm having a technician come out this afternoon. You're all set there. I'm looking at your notes. I've noticed that you've had us out a few times over the last 3 years, and you're still not a club member. I'm just wondering why not. Well, what is it? It's awesome. We come out in the spring, we come out in the fall preemptively to make sure things like this do not happen. Well, how much is it? It's $25 a month. I can get you going on it right now if you wanted. Well, yeah, sign me up. $25 a month to prevent bullcrap like this. It's costing me money to be here right now at home. Sign me up.
Hmm.
Plus, you get 10% off of all the services you provide. Oh, so it's going to be 10% less when you come out here. You're obviously going to have to do something. Sign me up.
Right. That makes sense.
It's the best time to sell a service agreement. Plus, it keeps the technician from having to do it. Right? I sit down with the homeowner and I say, hey, you're probably going to need to do a capacitor. There's a few other things that I'd like to get fixed in there. It's probably going to cost you a few $1,000s. And plus, I want to get you on a service agreement. What's the first thing you're going to take off? Right? They see that $3,000 bill. They're going to say, holy cow, okay, get rid of the club membership. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. You know what I mean? It's not a great time to sell it. It's better just for it to be sold so the technician has somewhere to go every 6 months, whether calls are coming in or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Kind of want to changing gears here a little bit. Um, we're seeing AI obviously have a big impact on the industry and lots of different ways to use it. I think you mentioned using it to scan recordings and stuff. Um, I'm curious what your thoughts are on using AI for some kind of basically to replace what CSRs are doing, either for inbound calls, outbound calls. Um, yeah, what are, you know, can somebody, if a customer doesn't know the difference between, AI and a person, can the AI theoretically get just as good results as a person on the line?
A person who is not trained, yes, AI can do the same thing, if not better. If we have a trained individual that is emotionally concerned about the success of the organization, that person should absolutely use AI as a tool as opposed to allowing AI to take over.
Mm,
First of all, the AI is not there yet. Okay. There certainly is a place for AI. I have my own call center. If all of my call agents are on the phone with another customer, I absolutely have AI answering that phone call.
mm,
But as soon as the humans inside my call center become available, they call that customer back and they make sure that the appointment's set up for an optimal time. Because what the computer does is it sets it up for the next available. Well, in the summertime, that could be 2 weeks from now, Peter.
mm.
Doesn't make sense. Okay. That customer is definitely going to call somebody else and see if they can get somebody out sooner. So a human's got to be involved. And look, you could be booked up in this moment, but 5 minutes from now, you might have somebody call in and reschedule. 5 minutes from now, you might have a technician get done early in his specific area. You're not going to have them sitting around. Okay. So the technology can be there for 50, maybe 60% of the calls. But when a call comes in and says, hey, I just want to know what you charge to come out, or I just want a ballpark price, or I just want to know what you charge, I just want to talk to a technician. When those types of calls come in, you know what? Let me get you in touch with a live agent. Set up your AI so that it sends it all to a live agent. Let that live agent pick up the call, one who is trained, one who is held accountable to their performance, and they can handle that in a way that will help the customer feel, you know what, safe, comfortable, have a little bit of fun in the process, and get them taken care of, right? So yeah. I would say that if you're handling AI correctly, you're using it as a tool to help keep the board full, help manage call volume. But ultimately, you're keeping a very close eye on what's going on. Does that mean people are losing their jobs? No, it means their job is changing. Okay, they're managing the process. They're calling customers. They're connecting with them. They're seeing if they can move them to a sooner time. They're reassuring them that they've called the right place. You're also talking about other things, such as, hey, I noticed that we've been out to your home a few times for heating and cooling. Did you know that we also do plumbing?
Right. Yeah.
If calls aren't coming in, you're calling out. You're saying, hey, Mr. Jones, we were out to your home 6 months ago, gave you a price on a new system. Were you ever able to replace your system? Oh, you haven't yet? Why don't you have us come out? Is now a better time? Okay, it's those sorts of things where it's more of an inside sales position than it is just answering phones. And this is going to happen for two reasons. Most business owners, unless they're owned by a PE group and they don't care about their people. And I hate to say that to all PE groups. You know what? There are many PE groups out there that do care about their people. And they certainly do get a bad rep, right? With, the impression that's made on the industry that they come in and,
right.
X a bunch of people. But most business owners care about their people enough that they're not going to just fire them. They're going to change their position. So what we teach is inside sales, knowing that their position is likely going to change in the near future. We want them to keep their job. So the way that they keep their job is they hustle. They hustle, right? Let the AI do its thing. But you're calling those customers, you're connecting with them, you're seeing if you can come out sooner, you're selling service agreements to them actively. You're turning service calls into replacement calls. Technicians do it all the time. Hey, Mr. Jones, I'm looking at your notes. I noticed that we're coming out to a system that's about 12 years old. You've gotten some great life out of it. You ever consider replacing it? If you want, I can get you approved for financing right over the phone. Imagine a comfort advisor going out to the home who has financing already approved, a budget already set. Okay, you could totally set the table for every one of your guys if you look at this the right way. You've got to use it as a tool. You've got to see it as an opportunity for you to do even more for the company than you did before. And chances are you'll make more money. You see, when we have CSRs, dispatchers selling over the phone, they're going to make more money. They're going to make more money. Company's going to make more money. Everybody's going to win. Okay. But if you just say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to switch over to AI. Cool. Guess what? You're going to sound the same as everybody else over the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to cave to endless sameness? Because let me tell you what comes with that. The price is going to go down. Why is the price going to go down? Because your experience just went down. It's just like everybody else's experience.
Yep.
Okay. Chick-fil-A has doubled down on the people that are out there waiting for you to receive you in that line. Because it just so happens the only way Chick-fil-A loses customers is the long line. So what do? They double and triple the amount of people in that line. They take your order as soon as you get into it. It could be a mile long, and I'm taking your order, right? I'm having you pay for your meal long before you get to the window.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. It's all about people for them. It's all about the experience, because you're going to pay more than you pay at McDonald's. Okay. McDonald's has a successful model too. We know, because they're everywhere. But their lines certainly aren't as long. And the ticket, the per unit price is not the same either. So the question is what model do you want? In my experience, the model that we want in this industry, the reason why there's so many PE groups and so much money being thrown into this industry right now is because of the margin. And the margin, if you want to keep the margin, you have to keep the experience. So
100%. Use
AI as a tool to help you take care of more customers. But if you let it take over, you're going to have to lower your price. You're going to have to go for volume instead of, you're going to have to go for quantity over quality, because that's what you're doing. You're creating sameness.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, as business owners, we tend to, we tend to want to have the best product. And there's this belief that, like, okay, well, as long as I have the best product, then that's automatically going to, word of mouth is going to spread. I'm automatically going to get as much business as I can handle. But I feel like so many people just buy, even if they don't realize it, they buy more based off how they felt, how you made them feel, than, the actual product itself. I feel like the route you need to go for a good business that's also profitable is, having a good product, having a good service, but then also a process that allows customers to emotionally be able to see, the value in the service as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So let's talk about friends for a moment, because you asked about that. Let's say that I have a friend in my neighborhood, and we're the kind of friends that, we hang out on the weekends, right? We golf together. My kids go to his house. His kids come to my house. They just walk in. No big deal. We do barbecues on the weekend, that sort of thing. If he wants to borrow a shovel, he probably has access to the garage and can get it anytime he wants, and I wouldn't care. If I don't like him and we're not friends, okay, first of all, he doesn't have the code to my garage. Second of all, he's knocking on the door. He's asking if he can borrow a shovel, and I'm going to pretend that I don't have one, even though he saw me this morning, just that same morning with a shovel, right? If he's my friend and he's got my shovel, he may have it for years. I may go to Home Depot and buy another one because I don't want to bug him about it. He's my friend. He's my friend. You see, when we're friends, we become more amiable. We become more flexible. We become easier to deal with. So fun and friends and connection, that's what it's all about. Now, there's a fine line there, right? Because you can only be friends for so long if you're not doing a good job. You've also got to do a good job. But you're right. It used to be all about, a system is only as good as it's installed. And that is so true, 100%. But they also have to like you. They have to like you. And so it's not just about a properly installed system. It's about the connections you make inside the office and outside the office that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I feel like if people, logically, they're going to want to maybe talk to a few companies and, make the best choice they can. But if you get in their home and they decide they don't like you, their brain is going to come up with some good reason that, you're just not some logical reason why you're just not the best fit for them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Good stuff. Yeah, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on. It's been awesome. If somebody's interested in your CSR training or tech training, where should they go?
Powersellingpros.com, POWER SELLINGPROS.com. There is a demo link right on the front page. You click on that demo link and you can schedule an appointment. We can custom build a coaching program that will hold your team accountable to their own performance over time. We're the ones that do it for you as opposed to telling you what to do. So that's the difference between us. And that's how you can work with us.
Love it. Awesome. Hey, well, thanks so much for being on, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Peter.